All right, folks, welcome to another great broadcast here on the Coming Apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and we've got a tremendous program for you today. Some real good, insightful information of what's taking place around the world. First thing you have to say, is socialism officially begun globally? Well, we may not feel it that much here in America, but has the process begun with a global tax? A mandated global tax agreed upon by 130 out of 139 countries. It looks like they're going to tax the wealthier countries and distribute the wealth to the poorer countries. And if that is the case, the market's reacting to it a little bit negatively today. But there's more fish than this to fry, bigger fish, and we're going to find out more about that today in this broadcast. So joining us from Trade Genius Academy, Bob Kudla. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. How are you?
Doing great, as always. So glad to have you with us on the program. So, Bob, the corporate tax, well, I shouldn't say that, the global tax, this is something I think they've kicked around the European Union, the United Nations, the G20, the G7. These guys have all kicked this around for a long time. Seemed like they waited. The first chance they got after Trump left, they jumped on this. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter Trump or Biden because we already have a global tax. So, a global tax. We already have a corporate tax. Every country, except for those 9, have a corporate tax. So our tax is not changing. What Yellen is trying to do is and it still wouldn't matter what the U.S. would have done anyway. The countries are annoyed that corporations can basically shop for the best place to put their subsidiaries and have the tax be generated in those jurisdictions and show no tax gains in the main jurisdictions. And so, look, the European Union could have fixed the EU a long time ago if they wanted to. Ireland is one of the big offenders there. I think Jersey in that little island off of England and France is another one. So, this isn't a transfer tax from rich to poor, Paul. This is a whack-a-mole tax to keep you from moving your money from place to place. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get it to the point where there's only weaker countries that have this, and they can then threaten them to be cut off from the banking system. So this is going to go nowhere.
Oh, yeah. So there's really not much to this. I mean, basically, it's just trying to tighten down the doors, trying to batten down the hatchets so that money doesn't move around as freely.
Yeah, well, just so you can't hide it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have companies like Apple and Amazon and so on and so forth that have billions and billions and billions of dollars of cash sitting in Ireland because they can't bring it home because that would cause a tax event. So that's what they're trying to get to. They're annoyed. And actually, I'm a bit sympathetic to it because the corporate share of taxation has plummeted by half. So we've been taking on that burden. So, but there's other ways they can do it. It's just that nobody wants to be the one to go to their donor and say, "Hey, I raised the taxes." They're trying to do it, a way without being accountable.
Right.
So, but I don't think it's going to happen. And the stock market's selling off today and coming back a little bit. Look, the market's at nosebleed levels, Paul. I mean, by every stretch of imagination, the stock market is obscenely overvalued, and so we're due for a pullback. Okay, and they're just going to invent a reason for that to happen. So, and there's plenty of reasons for that to happen. So, we're at a point now where we talked about this last month that I hate to use the word inflation, but higher prices to the consumer are taking their bite. There's between food and rent and healthcare and energy, people have no money left. and then next month, the abatements on evictions ends, and in the generous emergency employment money ends, and so we're going to come back down to normal. And when that happens, a lot of cash flow, people spending money that we can't really understand who has this money, is because they haven't been paying their rent. All that's going to end, and so we're going into the fall, and then I think we can expect a pretty good pullback in the markets.
So yeah, as one thing about it for sure, that the stock market's value is just, I've been waiting for it to correct itself probably for 2 years. And as you say, the printing of money and the distribution of money that's just been poured into the market, poured into the public, poured into everything, you would have thought by now there would have been a correction, because we're got to be getting closer to a hyperinflation at some point here. Which bubble bursts first? Is it the currency value? Is it the stock market value? Will it be the housing market value? Which bubble will burst first, Bob?
Yeah, the stock market for sure. Because when the stock market goes, the dollar will actually go higher. And the housing market is different than it was in 2008. Small time speculators are not in this market. This is BlackRock and guys buying homes with cash. They're not going to be forced with a gun to their head to sell their properties, because there's no lender for them to force a sale. So, but what has happened though is retail now this time, in 2000 people were buying the tech bubble, right? 2008 people were buying the real estate bubble. Well, this time around people are buying the option bubble. And when this thing goes, Paul, you're talking probably 87% of the move up from when Biden's been elected will get wiped out. So whatever that number is, that's called an Eiffel Tower, and 87% of that move will be retraced in twice the speed as it was created. So you're looking at potentially a fairly good correction. And what's different this time than last time is that the Federal Reserve now has been taking money out of the banking system at the same time. So it's not going to be one of those things where we had the pandemic sell-off where the Fed came in and bought it back, or what we had in March where it was just a standard correction which the Fed bought right back. This time they've been signaling they can't buy it back. And so this sell-off, when it happens, I think will be a little bit more enduring than what we've been used to, and there's going to be really no place to hide other than cash and these instruments called volatility instruments, the ones that take advantage of the market selling off like this. So, that's what we're looking at. So, and I expect that within the next 90 days.
So, yeah. So, all right. So, next 90 days, that's coming on as fast. So, you're expecting this to be almost like an October event, and so let me ask you. I mean, gold's at $1,803 today. Silver's at $26.25. Bitcoin's sitting at almost 34,000, and then the Dow is, like you said, overinflated. Do you see Bitcoin making another run up if the stock market falls? Do you see gold continue to rise if the stock market falls? Silver rise? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think silver is going to go down. Look, silver and gold today, gold was up $20 at the open. Yeah. And all day long they sold it. Same with silver. So it's not proving to be necessarily a good hedge. You have to realize when the selling starts, people have to sell good stuff because they're in bad stuff. Now, gold and silver may recover faster, but it's been our experience that they don't just ignore it and go the other way. I think eventually, it'll be the first to come back up because it's been artificially suppressed. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's being accumulated. You hear all this bad news out there, China this and Britain that, but at the same time, the American big banks are allowing their wealthiest customers to acquire Bitcoin, and you wouldn't be doing that if you had inside information from the central bank that they're going to kibosh it. That would be that would be not very well accepted by your wealthiest clients if they said, "Hey, you guys should know you have inside information," but they're not. And JP Morgan said we think $35,000 fair value for Bitcoin. It gets down to 31,000. They rip it up to 39 and convert it back to 35. So we think it's still consolidating, and so start worrying if it gets below 27. And start rejoicing when it gets over 40. So that's all I can really tell you. In the meantime, just play the wiggles inside the range and just keep adding. And if it gets to the top of the range and starts rolling over, take some off and just keep bringing your average down. But Bitcoin, just like gold and silver, are an integral part of a healthy portfolio because they're the only two things outside of the current fiat system that'll protect you when the fiat system finally rupture.
So you say there's some big fish to fry out there. There's some big pitfalls that are waiting for us, and we're already first 6 months into the Biden-Harris administration. There's really not been any big legislation that's happened. The tax structures remain the same. He's made a few moves as far as, from executive orders, and the border seems to be the biggest fiasco of it all. But he's made some changes with trade a little bit, but not a whole lot. So what are the big whales out there? What are the big problems that you see that America is facing economically?
Well, I mean, on the domestic side is that you have we've now curtailed our ability to control oil prices. So now we conceded that back to the Saudis and the Russians, and they're controlling the price now. So we're subject to those, and oil and gas. Those aren't inflationary; those are taxes.
Yeah,
they cause prices to rise, but they don't cause the money supply to expand. So what happens is you have to make substitutionary decisions. If oil goes up too far, do I really need to go to the store? Right? Do I work from home more? Do I move so I can be closer to my? You start making those kind of decisions. Or I don't have money to do that now because I got to stick another $100 a month, in the tank. And so, that's a problem. That's the number one problem I see. Number two is that China is, there's something going on in China, inside of China. So they've blown the biggest financial bubble known to man. And
what?
What's that?
What did they blow? What do you mean?
They're 330% of debt to GDP. So they just keep borrowing, and it makes it look like the Chinese miracle, but it's really the Chinese debt bubble. And so now they're starting to shrink that back in, and when that happens, it's going to cause a contraction not only in China, but that's going to reverb around the rest of the world. In addition to China is having a problem, which is ongoing, but it's becoming chronic, is that they can't make enough food in their own country to feed their people. And so, it's left to other nations then to provide that export. And, things were kind of Goldilocks for a long time. The U.S. had it, help with the trade deficit, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. Well, those those stockpiles are ending. And then around the world they're ending. And then at the same time, they're antagonizing the Australians, and the South Americans are losing their export. And the United States will become a political football if they start exporting all the food. Our prices go up and it's going to China. So China's going to have a problem with food, and it's going to raise the price of food across the world. And we're going to suffer for it because food now has become a global commodity versus a regional one. and we're going to see food prices go up. Well, there's two things I've said for, 15 years now. There's two things that can end the easy money Fed is higher food prices and higher energy prices, because they can't print those. Okay?
Right. You got to have those. Those are tangible entities you must have, commodities you must have.
Yeah, and they're extremely visible commodities. Right. People see these, and then you add rent to it, right? So now the three things that people every day are confronted with, and so it's going to make them surly. And and look, if Trump was in power, Trump would take the heat from it. If Biden's in power, it's a flamethrower to him. So he has people that can't pay their rent, they can't drive to work, they can't get food, because they're running out of money. And you got a opposition party that's going to give him no help whatsoever. Okay, and so now we have this political aspect to it that's just tucked in. So, and then you have corporations that are at max profit, and we have stock ownership at max percentage. So everything is dancing on a pin right now, and I feel like Sisyphus. What way is the rock going to roll down? And none of these are transitory. Okay, so you saw that lame thing about July 4th. Hey, your July 4th thing with 16 cents. I mean, are these people stupid? They know that do you think people are thinking, hey, wow, prices have gone down? Are they insane? I can't even drive to the picnic. No, let's buy the food to the picnic, So you have all these elements that are coming at us. And so it's a problem. They've done everything they possibly can do to hide this. Now, on the good news side is we need this cleansing, because we need people to be worried about their day-to-day living and less worried about all this woke crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when people have to actually start thinking about living for a change, they don't have time for this nonsense.
Right.
But there's going to be some pain associated with that nonsense. And then people are going to find out the Federal Reserve has been playing and has no clothes on people. So they're going to get their legs chopped. And then people are going to they're going to start asking harder questions. So I think we're going to have to endure some pain. The Biden administration is not up to it. I mean, even if you love Joe Biden, if you love him personally, you love him professionally, you love him politically, he's rapidly declining. I mean, we can see it. He has to get notes out to answer the most basic questions. I watched the movie yesterday, Mercury Rising, where the kid's autistic, and he has to walk around with a chain link with all his answers on it.
Right.
You don't do that for somebody that's mentally sharp. He should know the 4 or 5 things, and they know ahead of time what questions they're even allowed to ask.
Yeah.
And he still couldn't answer it off the top of his head. That's a problem. And everybody knows what's behind him is Vice President Harris. And she's an absolute political lightweight, and she has zero coattails in Washington. Nobody knows her there. She doesn't have, like Joe has 60 years of connections there.
Yeah.
They're going to eat her alive. They're going to make Trump look like he was vanilla ice cream compared to what they're going to do to that lady.
Right.
And we're all going to suffer for that. And then who knows what foreign power will take advantage of these naive politicians that we're going to have in place.
Folks, this is Bob Kudla with us from Trade Genius Academy. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. And really, if you want to learn how to survive or thrive in this world of markets, how to really trade, you can learn how to trade. You can enhance your ability to trade if you enroll in his school and get involved in his techniques and his tools that he will teach you. He'll not just teach you what fish to eat, he'll help you be able to catch them, all right? And pick up the phone. You can call him at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. Bob, I love your analogy here that, if people are more concerned about how they're going to Gas is $1.05 higher than it was a year ago exactly this time. We know food prices are soaring. We know people can't pay the rent. Yet the government's trying to tell us that our 4th of July picnic is going to be 16 cents cheaper this year than last. Nobody's believing that. So going forward, I don't see where there's any end in sight. There's no policy changes coming to address the rising oil prices, food shortages, the housing market bubble, the whole situation. I don't see where it's at. So having said that, what should people do? If they want to learn how to trade, if they want to get control of their own destiny, what should they learn and what should they do? Can you help us here?
Yeah, I mean, look, the way we approach trading is that we look at money flows. Okay, so money is moving around constantly in the stock market to different sectors and different assets, with cash being one of them. Okay, and so all our system does is alert us to the fact that these sectors are overvalued and money is leaving them, so you should probably exit them. And then here are the areas where money is moving into, and you probably should enter them. And so, and if I can just do a quick plug, you can actually learn that stuff from us at Trade Genius, and we put together some bundles for you to take advantage of it, so you can get 65% off. We trade the cryptos, the stocks, and we actually can day trade too. And so we put special together. You can buy unbundled for 40% off as well. Take advantage of buy. And we'll teach you how the system works. And then we'll show you trades that you can take advantage of in real time. And then you can then also get the indicators that we use so that you can then become an independent trader, even though you're within the family of Trade Genius. And so, we'll put you in the right fishing grounds while we teach you to fish and give you the tools, and we'll actually help you trade. And so, having said all that, the options are limited where you can make money successfully in this market. And so, cash is being one of them. So as you exit trade, there's no reason why you have to rush into another trade. Part of winning in trading is not losing. And the second part is that the Federal Reserve and the central banks and the dealers have been making money suppressing what they call volatility. So when volatility is lower, it gives the market more certainty about direction, and people take more risk. So when volatility rises, or if risks are rising, volatility will follow, and that's been rising. So we've been shifting people out of the markets into cash. And then we went ahead and did our first volatility trade, which is very easy to do. We'll show you how to do it. There's actually ETFs. And we got involved on Friday. This morning, we're talking Tuesday here today. We doubled that trade up. And in the next 3 hours after that, it hit a target for us. We took profit. So in 2 days, we helped people make 4.5% on the volatility trade. And then the market turned around like it does a lot of days. When it opens down, they try to lift it up with it closed. And then in the next couple of days, we'll get another buy signal on the volatility trade again. We'll raise more cash. And our thinking is that by the middle of July, the market's going to start getting a bit rocky. But we'll be making money on this volatility trade at the same time. So that's how we're going to help people, Paul. Yep. And we'll teach people how to do this. And it's really straightforward. In fact, I shot you over some attaboy people who've never done it before, sent me notes this morning that said, wow, this is great. I didn't know we could even do this. And so we help expand your horizons. And the only thing I'll tell people that are listening that are day trading now, the Reddit boards and the Wall Street Bet Boy, both the boards, you're going to get obliterated when they do. They're going to do a sell-off in the next couple of weeks where you buying the dip will crush you. And so a lot of people are doing options right now. So, instead of losing 2% on a trade, you're going to lose 20, 30, 40% on a trade. And their goal is to wipe these traders out. So going into the July options expiration in 2 weeks, you're going to see a sell-off somewhere between now and then that's going to put a hurt on people who've been trying to do this day trading by internet boards. So just be careful. We don't play that game. We see the opportunities anyway, but we'll put you in stuff that's safer. So
that's great insight. Folks, Bob Kudla there with TradeGeniusAcademy.com, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Pick up the phone and call him. You could do that at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. And if you go to his website at www.tradegeniusacademy.com, he's running a summer specials right now through the 10th of July. You definitely want to take advantage of that. And I think that what you'll find out is you'll see the success rate. And look at like we've been showing you all the real happy traders that have been with Bob for a while now that have really, really enjoy what they've learned, and they've capitalized on it. They're really having a good success rate in the midst of a volatile world. And I think, sometimes I think, Bob, in your case, the more volatile the world is, the better you guys do. I mean, you guys don't just make money when things are going well. You make money when things are going bad because you know which way to step, where the stones are in the river.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's easier to see the reversals when the market becomes more volatile. By volatility in this state, we're talking big ranges of the highs and lows for the day and the week. And yeah, absolutely. And it sets up other trades for later in the cycle when things calm down again. So there's a trade that happens twice a year that's usually a double. And it happens right when the markets go from absolute insanity to just crazy, and you'll be able to take advantage of that. We'll show you how to do that trade too. So it happens twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall usually. And we had the spring one, and that's the ones I was showing you, the attaboys in May, and we're going to have one between now and October. That'll be the attaboys that we're going to have in November and December. So. This trade sets up for years like this. The market can't hide from you. Big money can't hide from you. But they don't care about you in the sense that they don't care that they know what they're doing because they're the lead dog. Okay, if you want to make money, you got to follow that dog. And so I'm happy to do so. We're just like a seagull on the ocean. They bring the fish up to the surface, we'll eat. We can't dive down and get it. So these trades will just present themselves. We just take them. So
in the cashless world, we've talked about it. There's still talk going on that the world is going to go cashless at some point. A digital dollar, a digital wallet. What is your? Can you give us some information on this right now? And do you see it coming? And is that advantageous or is that a problem?
Yeah, so look, we're already 80% cashless, right? Plus, when's the last time you broke your wallet out and used cash, right? Never. But cash is available to you. My wife has a business that, some of her customers pay her in cash, and a lot of the handymen still get paid cash, that kind of stuff. So on the margins, there's still cash. Cash is psychologically important because it's still anonymous. And people are very, very, very afraid now with the cancel culture that if they know every one of your transactions, they know who you are, and they don't like what you say, they can literally shut you out of being able to even live. So I think that's the thing that's going to cause the cashless society some grief. And, but in the meantime, the mechanisms are being put in place. I think the first mechanism is going to be cross-border, so that we don't allow the Chinese to get a better cross-border digital application than the United States, because we want to maintain the reserve currency, mantle. But beyond that, it's going to be a political slog. Who's going to have access to this information? Who's going to be able to use this information? They're going to be able to profile you down to the nanoscale if they know everything you buy and matched up to everywhere you are in the internet, and they know everywhere you've been on your phone. So, they can literally tailor-made. You wake up in the morning, and the pink shirt you didn't know you wanted to order is going to be at your front door. because you were going to order it that day. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be. Or
Yeah.
you're going to wake up one day and say, hey, you know what? Pastors are evil, and they're shut off.
Yep.
And so that's what's coming, and I think that's a big political fight. The obvious question I'm going to answer is no, it is not the Antichrist, and it's not the beast system. It's probably a foreshadowing of the beast system, because the beast system is going to be worldwide under one person's control. That's not what we see now, right?
Right.
So we're just seeing the natural progression of the book of Revelations.
We really are. It's a progression. It's like a foreshadowing of the book of Revelation, and you're right. We don't have a beast kingdom in play yet, and we don't have an Antichrist yet, but seriously, the technology seems to be advancing to set it up, I guess, is the key. And I think your point is very well correct, that people don't like their privacy being prodded into constantly, and with the cancel culture, who can decide, who makes the decision, who gets to play and who don't, people don't like that. I mean, that's going to be a tough one to sell. I think it's going to have to be more mandated than sold to the American people, and to the world. That's going to be tough, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. And if they didn't have the cancel culture raging in the background, it would have been easier for them to do it, because it would have looked benign. But now people are like, "Oh, wait a minute! If you can do this to me on the internet, I can lose my job. What can you do to me when you control my bank account?"
Right. All right, Bob. Folks, you should go right now to www.tradegeniusacademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. Or pick up the phone and call Bob at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. And get involved. Get yourself started in the program and find out how you can take control of your own destiny when it comes to your finances, maybe even your future, when it comes to economics and as it comes to your livelihood. And Bob's been helping people for a long time. He can help you. So, Bob, I appreciate you being with us today.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me.
All right. And folks, we'll be back next time right here on The Coming Apocalypse.